Hi everyone, thank you for staying tuned to this series of interviews in which I will be interviewing different people's perspective with regards to this pandemic COVID-19 period. So last few episodes, we gained practical insights to how can a business can be creative during this challenging period and how individuals can prep themselves to stand out in an overcrowded job market. Now today, we are going to explore an area that has been going unnoticed even before this pandemic, but had been impactful to individuals in many ways, such as overcoming leadership challenges, career challenges, and even personal development. Yes, we are talking about coaching. Coaching helps an individuals to internalize their own self-realization of their challenge and thereafter enable them to design their breakthroughs. And I have this honor to invite renowned Master Certified Coach Jedidiah Alex Cole, who is also the co-founder of Coaching Changes Life, to share with us the goods of the unnoticed profession of coaching. So thank you, Jedi, for accepting my interview.
Thanks, Mavis, once again for inviting me. Really an honor to be here.
Jada, myself being a coach, often, I get misunderstood by many individuals as an advisor. Now, can you do us a favor or do us the honor to explain this misconception?
Well, it's quite a common misconception all around the world. It's not just here in Singapore local context. All around the world, people usually think of a coach. They say, "Oh, if you got a problem, you just go and find a coach. You got this problem, find a coach." So they think of a coach as a problem solver, and often what they really want is actually an advisor or a consultant or a teacher or instructor. So that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the solution. But however, that's not what coaching does. That's not what coach does. So let's give you a definition of what coaching is. Now, according to the International Coach Federation, the largest governing body for professional coaches all over the world, they define coaching as this. Coaching is a co-creative process or co-partnering process with the client through a creative and thought-provoking process to inspire change and maximize potential. So coaching itself, it's a co-creative process. I mean, it's a partnering process between you and the client. So it's not I as a coach as the guru. I'm not a guru. Neither is the client, just the client just waiting to receive all the solutioning. No, it's a co-creative process. So two parties are coming involved, being co-actively involved in the discovery and solutioning of the process. And look at this. Many of the other functions or many of the other domains like consulting, advising, facilitation, instructors, many of them are what we call domain-specific skills. Meaning you say, if I'm a medical consultant, I cannot be a consultant for engineering or an IT or something else, right? Whereas coaching, it's non-domain specific. Why is that so? Because coaching focuses on the process rather than the specific domain expertise. Now, so then the question we get is like, then why get a coach? I might as well go and find a consultant. Now, we know this is true. Many organizations, many companies, many leaders, they always engage consultants, but how many of organizations actually implement what the consultants have said? So they invest millions of dollars into getting top-end consultants into the firm, and the consultants tell you this is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Now, there are merits to the consultants, but however, many of the solutions that the consultant give are highly thought through based on the consultant's perspective or the worldview of the consultant giving to the client. And this is one big problem. If it works, then all the organizations around would have produced great results. But the problem is that today we know that if that works, organizations will be happy, teams will be doing fantastic, leaders will be scaling the walls. But today we still see the same problem, right? It's almost as if like over the last 20, 30, 40 years of the global economy, that nothing much has changed with the introduction of consultants. Now, that gave rise to something else. You say, hey, so it's not really about what organizations do, not really about what teams do, not really about what leaders do. It's more about who they are, the personal being. So many people focus on what they do, the doing, rather than focusing on the being. And this is what we really believe in the coaching process. We look at the process first. We're not really concerned about the outcome because the outcome will happen when the process is done right. So coaching, we focus on the process and the outcome. And you look at the whole coaching process, right? We begin to see, hey, where the client is and where they want to be. And that is basically where we help the client through. They help the client gain clarity, alignment, congruence within what they want and where they want to be. So think about this. Many organizations say, hey, I want to make the next milestone, I want to go to the next milestone. Many leaders say, okay, I want to bring my team to the next level. I want to scale up, I want to scale up, I want to scale up. But that's what they want to do. But who they are on the inside, that's more important than what they do. So think about this. People say we begin with what or why, but I say begin with the who. Because it's more important about the who than actually the what. So we always say we coach the person, not the problem, and that's really what it is. So coaching focuses on the person than the issue at hand, because the issue at hand will change. Suppose I give them the solution right now, they can solve the problem right now. But when we change a different context, we change a different problem, it can come in a different angle. People are not able to handle that. So what we want, that coaching helps the client to remain in a resourceful state. So think about this. In this crisis, right, a pandemic crisis, we would think about as well, why is it that, it's a similar form? It's not that mankind hasn't gone through some pandemic like this. We have been through several ones over the last few centuries and decades as well. But why is it that, it seems like people are saying, oh, this is a brand new thing, it's a brand new thing, but it's not, it's really not. We have seen it down through human mankind that things like this did happen before in the past. But what was the difference? So it's not really about the doing. It's not about being prepared about what they're doing. It's about the human heart. It's about the human state of mind. And that is really more important. So the being is more important than the doing. So in the coaching process, that's where we take a person through, helping them realize more about himself, getting clarity there, and bringing them through this journey. And then they discover that one thing is very key. Consultants come in or advisors come in and say they straight away solve the problem, which is good, right? Solving problem is good. But the real issue is this: the problem is never the real problem. The service problem is never a real problem. So when you engage a coach, the coach goes deeper and help you to realize, hey, what is the real underlying problem? What's the real issue here? So the real service issue is not really the real issue. What is the underlying issue? And that's what the coach does with the client.
Good. Wow. Now it clears some air about it. So before this pandemic, we have seen organizations taking on coaching approaches to help better manage complex team relations and creating a collaborative, culture in the company. So we'd like to hear, how has coaching helped leaders, employees, and individuals in their career or personal development before COVID-19?
You see, coaching actually has been helping many organizations and leaders. For one, coaching helps the leader be clear about what they want, clear about where the organization is going forward, clear about what they want to achieve for their personal life. So many people say, okay, we shouldn't focus on the personal life. But let me tell you, one of the most important things is actually helping the person to find alignment between who they are, especially the higher levels of leadership. It's really important for them to figure out who they are, because their personal values, their personal ideals, their personal psychology, their personal dreams and goals will be closely knitted to the entire organization. Why is that so? If a leader is not aligned to the organization, and what will happen if in the whole process is it will cascade down all the way down to the last man on the team. So you want a leader who's aligned to the organization, who's clear about his life goals, who's clear about his personal dreams, personal desires, so he's able to find alignment and congruence in all that he does. The day he doesn't find that alignment and congruence, what will happen is that you will have a wayward leader. So many people say, we want a way forward leader. So my question to you is, do you want a way forward leader or do you want a wayward leader? So coaching does that. The coaching helps to find way forwards for leader, helps them to find clarity in terms of the leadership potential, for team coaching as well. That's what we do here. We do a lot of team coaching, helping organizations, SMEs, MNCs really understand the power of coaching behind that. So before the crisis, a lot of companies have engaged us, right, from the luxury brands to hotels and stuff, and say, hey, what is something that we can do different right now? So they always ask me, what's something they can do different? Well, I tell them one thing: things are changing. The landscape of training your staff, HR functions are changing as well. So if we do traditional trainings, like we train the staff, we say, okay, we send them for courses, we send them for personal development course or EQ course or communication course, but you find that fundamentally something is missing in all this training. After a 2-day training, 3 days training, or 4 days training, when your staff comes back into the organization, it's almost as if nothing has changed. You've invested a lot of money in that, but it's almost as if nothing has changed. Why? Because the reality of training is this, that many of the trainings that's done will not be seen, right? It's head knowledge, but it's not evidential or not integrated within the client. So that's where it comes coaching, what we call integrative training coaching. So what we do now is that when we go to organizations, we train them in personal development skills, and not soft skills. We call about essential skills. So people come to me and ask me for voice coaching, communication coaching, negotiation coaching, sales coaching, and I often tell them this, right? It's not a soft skill. It's actually essential skill. It's a hard skill. Coaching is a hard skill. Communication is a hard skill. So they come inside there, and what happens is that we do like a half-day or one-day training, and thereafter we followed by a monthly coaching, group coaching, online coaching, face-to-face. If it's the senior leaders, we'll do one-on-one. If it's a team, we'll do it with a team. And what this does really, it helps the team to effectuate whatever they've learned. It helps the team to integrate and assimilate whatever they've learned. And so maybe after 3 months, we evaluate with the HR practitioners, HR business partners or HRDs, and then we look at it, hey, I think there's some areas of growth. Okay, then let's have another half-day training. So this sequential top-ups will really help organization grow much more exponentially than a one-time 2 days training or one-time 4 days training. Yes, there will be a little bit more investment because we are engaging the coach on a long-term basis with the L&D department, right? In congruence, we co-develop this thing to really help go deeper the organization. That's for the larger MNCs. But what about smaller SMEs when they cannot really, when they don't really have that kind of budget to do it? But what we can do then, you can engage a coach for a group coaching session. So what some of the smaller SMEs do is that they realize that if for their team to work effectively, they need more team coaching. So what they got me to do is that we organize team retreats, team coaching retreats. We gather the team, bring them out for a while, help them to forge greater camaraderie, forge greater bonds, help them to understand each other, how to work with each other. Then we come back every quarter to review with them, help them to see things better, do a group coaching, and that will really help them to assimilate a lot of learnings that they get. So before the crisis happened, that's what we've been always doing, right? Helping organizations and individuals do that. Now we do have individuals as well. So these individuals come to us. They may be leaders, not sponsored by the companies, but they say, hey, I need to develop myself because I cannot stay stagnant. If the day I stay stagnant, the day I will not be able to be competitive anymore. I will lose my edge. I will not be a great leader anymore. So there were some individuals came to us and they recognize a trend. They see that many leaders, many managers, they stop learning. So when these people come to me and say, hey, yeah, let's do something about that. Let's improve. Let's see how we can help you get to where you want to be. Let's see how to help you become a better leader and better manager in your own right. So before the crisis, we've been doing that, really helping teams, organizations, and individuals.
Great. So when the country and organizations start to step up in their precautionary measures to contain this pandemic, we see people are ever more stressed because of lesser social interactions and of course that tremendous uncertainty of their livelihoods. Coaches see a rise of engagements. And how has coaching been helpful to the community during this period?
Well, for one, why coaching becomes such an important thing, especially during this season, is because many of the organizations now they have to look for someone to really help strengthen or build in resilience for all that stuff. So when the pandemic happens, what happens is that there becomes an external shift. So we always, whenever I go to organizations, one of the things I tell them, hey, I say, guys, you need to invest in your people. You need to invest in coaching. You need to invest in getting more development for them, spending a little bit more money in training them to build more resilience in them, because the day will come when you least expect, when external forces come in and you're not able to handle it. I give an example. Nobody expects that the airline industry will be just wiped out in just literally in a few months, right? Today, many of the staff, many pilots, many air stewards, they're out of job. Why? Because there's no anticipation of this. Some people say, okay, we got to plan, we got to anticipate. There's no. In this modern age, right, we have gone past the VUCA, right? Now everything's uncertain. We do not know what would be. The coach role is there. It's not a fortune teller, but the coach role is there to help them to find the alignment, help them to adjust, help them to see clearer, help them to stretch their thinking, help them to stretch their possibilities. Because the coach comes in from a neutral frame of mind in a know-nothing state, the coach doesn't impose a past historical data. The coach doesn't impose that this is the way to go, but the coach really partners the client to be very curious to find out, hey, why are things like this? Why are things like that? So they begin to explore this with the client. And in this process, at the end of the day, the coaching process produces more choices, more options for the individual. And why is it so important to produce more options and choices? Because when there are more options and more choices, the client can decide for themselves what is the best for them. Many clients want the coach or the advisor to give them the answer. But when we do that, who takes the responsibility? The responsibility is shifted away from the client to the coach, right, or the advisor. So what we want is the client to take 100% responsibility of where they want to go, the outcome, and also take 100% responsibility about their state, about their well-being. So in the coaching process, we help them to shift their responsibility. That's why whenever I teach about this concept of responsibility, because your responsibility will be your greatest responsibility as a leader, as a trainer, as a mentor, as a manager in the organization.
I see. So we know, social and working effects of this pandemic are going to stay around for a while, even after lockdown is lifted. Jedidiah, can you maybe enlighten us? How do you think coaching can help organizations to bridge employees back to work, and how coaching can help individually connect back to work and workforce?
Okay, so that's a really good question. How coaching can connect those people together? I think for one, what coaching does, it's first it gives both the organization as well as the individual a neutral party, right, and someone to be able to bridge the gap. Someone to bridge the gap because the coach there is not there for the interest of themselves. The coach is there for the interest of the clients and the sponsor. So the coach role there plays a critical role to help create alignment, clarity for both the sponsors or organization as well as the individual to find clarity about what he wants. Today, because of this pandemic is happening, everybody's going all directions. Everyone's going all directions. They have no clue where they should want to be because for decades of their life, they thought that this is the iron rice bowl they're going forward, right? Because their parents and the parents' parents, have worked in for example, in a steady job, and they feel that that's a iron rice bowl. But today, you have industries, literal industries, just wipe out from the space, and people are out of jobs. So one of the first things that coaches come into play is to really help people to find clarity about what they want to do. Help them to revisit their life goals, their life purpose. Help them to realign, the different quadrants of their life, right? We got the quadrant of family, the quadrant of their health, the quadrant of their life, quadrant of their dreams and the purpose, quadrant of their values and beliefs. So help them to find an alignment of all these things. And in the whole process, what we try to do, especially for coaches in this season, it's really help them to find that connection between themselves and where they want to go. Because what will happen is in the second wave, this is not the second wave yet, right? We are waiting for the second wave. So now's the opportune time for individuals and organizations to engage coach. If they don't, what will happen is that there will not be a second chance anymore. They will feel that when the second wave hits, it's going to be harder than the first wave. Where the first wave has hit hard and affected many, many businesses around. But are we ready for the second wave? Are we ready? Have we anticipated for the second wave, or the third wave, or the fourth wave, or an even more destructive wave that we have yet to anticipate, right? So what we expect, so many people are saying, oh, there's going to be a second wave, right? So we expect something. So let me just let me just paint a picture. What if there's no second wave? What if it's a brand new wave and it's going to be a bigger tidal wave? Are we ready for that? Have we prepared for that? So the coach role is there to work with the client, explore options, explore possibilities, explore and future-pace the client. So the client begin to see, hey, yeah, how do I resilient-proof myself? How do I actually future-proof myself? Now, of course, there's no such thing as future-proofing. Now, many internet gurus or many internet coaches will claim that there's, oh, I'm going to future-proof you, blah, blah, blah. And many coaches out there, I've seen so many coaches on LinkedIn who call themselves abundance coach or whatever coach, right? Actually, they have no clue what they're saying because they're not a coach in the first place, right? They may attend a 4-day training and call themselves a coach, but they do not understand the essence of coaching at all. Because what they then do is that they say, okay, this is what coaching is, that's what coaching is, I'm going to coach you. But actually what they're doing, they're selling you something else. That's not really what coaching is. When we really do coaching with the person, we help them to gain clarity, absolute clarity first. When it's absolute clarity, there comes alignment between the values of the person, who the person is, and what they want to do. When that happens, then congruence happen. When the congruence happen, then now they're very clear about where they want to go, how they're going to chart the pathway. And this is going to be important not just for organizations, but an entire government. One of the things that I wish the government would do is to take more critical actions to invest heavily in coaching. Because right now is the best time for governments to have coaches to come on board to coach a large pool of Singaporeans, because many families, many individuals are lost. Many of them are lost. They have no idea where they're going to navigate. They have a semblance, okay, my job is safe for now. Let's hope, let's pray hard that the second wave doesn't affect my job. But that is actually a wrong mindset. That is what we call a protective mindset, because the day will come when we do not know that we have to change ourselves, we're going to reinvent ourselves. Are we on that state at all? Are we able to constantly change ourselves, constantly upgrade ourselves? When was the last time our leaders, our managers, our people, our employees read a book? When was the last time they've upgraded themselves? When was the last time they watched an educational YouTube video, or maybe a video, not a sitcom or a drama or a comedy on YouTube? When was the last time they improved themselves? So I would say the coach role here is to facilitate a learning process for the client to learn more about themselves and for the client to learn more about what's happening around them. So that's going to be a critical role, especially in this season.
I see. So, it's very great sharing with you, Jedidiah. For the last 20-minute session, you have brought our listeners and I through an understanding of what is coaching and how coaching has helped people to resolve their challenges, realign, especially during this period, and even preparing for ourselves for maybe the second wave, as what you've mentioned. So, all the more, and how coaching is impacting through the community. A profession that has gone unnoticed and expect more impacts to help support people during this challenging time. Now, just before we end, Would you like to do the honors to provide us, a motivational message to our listeners, how, we can bring forward to this?
Just have a little faith in all this. In all that we do, having a little faith, a little hope, and we're not saying having giant faith. We're not even saying having, like a morsel of faith. Just have a little faith. Because the thing is this, the world is going to get darker and darker and darker. But one thing that's true is that your light of passion, your light of faith, your light of dreams, your light of hope can never be extinguished because that's within you. My message to all of us out there, right? Forget about motivation. Forget about finding more inspiration. Think about this. What is something that you can change today? Are you allowing external forces to control you, or are you allowing you to control things around you? Are you allowing things to happen to you, or are you allowing things to happen for you? That's going to be a big shift for us. So my encouraging message to all of us listening to this and watching this podcast, watching this video is this: are we going to allow the next wave or this present wave to affect us because it's happening to us? We're saying things like, oh, no, because of this, it's affect my business, because of this, it's affect my job. And then it's always, all the things that's happening to me, and we're complaining. Or are we going to say, hey, it's come to us, right? Even if it's my fault, if it's not my fault, if it's, this or person or that person or this politician or that politician, does it really matter? Rather than complaining and feel the pain, this is what I always encourage people. Begin and take the first step forward and to recreate and recontrol your life. The reason why we're complaining because we feel that life is out of control. But know this, the wheel is still in your hands. Your driver's wheel is still in your hands. The government has no control over the driver wheel. The organization has no control about it. Nobody has control over it, only you. We have the control of our life. So meaning to say that now is the best time for us to pivot ourselves to say, hey, let's take a seismic shift right now. It's not about what things that happen to us. Things can happen to us. The next wave can happen. The next tidal wave, the tsunami can happen. But it's really not about what's happening to us, but what's happening for us. We will take it as an opportunity for us in this crisis to move things forward. Right? We always hear this, this little quote that in every crisis there's opportunity. I would say this, right? Don't wait for the crisis to happen, right? Every single day when we wake up, we say, hey, how can I better myself? How can I take control of my life today? How can I take full responsibility? The reason why we are so afraid is because we are afraid to take the responsibility. We're afraid to take the accountability steps forward. And that's one of the reasons why many people are afraid to take the next step forward. I would say this, right? The winners of tomorrow will always be the one who's prepared today. The winners of tomorrow will always be the ones prepared, put in effort, prepared for the day. Whether tomorrow comes or not, they are prepared, because when the day comes, they have run through, simulations in the mind. They've run through preparedness programs in the mind. So they know things may be different, but at least they have some process and procedures. I give an example. When was the last time you and your families sat down together to run through a simulation of things that might happen? Right? We're not saying doom and gloom, but we're saying that, if these things will happen, how should we approach this? If that doesn't happen, how should we approach this? Right? If let's say I lose my job, how should we approach this? Well, these are some things that I encourage families to have a discussion with, because many families, they don't even discuss this. Many organizations, SMEs, they don't discuss this. They never had a board meeting, sit down. Hey guys, let's put the worst case, right? The worst case is this. What is our next course of action? I call this your draw plans. Your draw plans. So for you, one of the best things to do right now, I encourage you message, is have a little faith and prepare yourself for the day. Prepare yourself for the day. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, because the day will come, but it will test us again. This little wave that we have was a test for us, a wake-up call for us to question, are we really prepared? Are our hospitals really prepared to handle a major crisis? Well, we know now it's not. No hospital around the world is prepared to handle a large-scale crisis. And already, this is not even 1 million people that's affected, right? It's not. We're not even talking about 10% of the entire population. This is less than 10% of the entire population. Out of 7 billion people, right? 10% or maybe 1%, it's only 70 million or 7 million people, 70 million people. So that's like 10% or 1%. And our hospitals services are not even able to handle that. So the question becomes, are we going to rethink about cost versus benefit analysis? Are we going to rethink about, when things happen, that we become reactive? So the consideration for today is that, are we going to be reactive when things happen, or are we going to be actively involved in preparing ourselves so that we are ready for the next season ahead? So this is something for us to consider today, to think about really what we want to do for ourselves, right? What we can do now is to prepare ourselves, prepare, lay out the plans, lay out the strategies, lay out the milestones, get a coach, Hire a coach because that's what a coach does. Sit down with you, map out the journey, map out the plan, discuss with you, stretch your thinking, expand your horizons, and really help you consider, hey, have I considered this option, that option? Have I considered all other possibilities? If yes, great. If not, let's see how else can we explore this. And that's what really coaching does. So I hope that this message will go out to all of you. And really, coaching, it's all about conversational mastery, and coaching can change your life. It just takes one conversation at a time. And we believe that if you are out there listening to this and you're wondering, is there hope for me? Is there hope for my organization? Well, let me tell you, this hope never disappoints. And there is hope right now, right today. So if you want to get connected with us, maybe it's just here, I'm here, we're all here to support you in your journey as well.
Wow, thank you, Jedi. That was fantastic. A summary of a message that really actually help us to motivate our listeners about controlling and not being reactive to the crisis, but rather how are we prepared, for this crisis or even after this crisis. So once again, thank you, Jedi, Master Certified Coach Jedidiah Alex Cole, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for
thank
this
you.
interview, Jedi.
Thanks, Mavis. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode. Take care and stay safe and well, everyone. Thank you.